Welcome to the Circuit of Success Podcast.
The Circuit of Success Podcast.
With your host,
Brett
Gilliland.
Brett Gilliland, Visionary Wealth Advisory.
the Circuit of Success Podcast. Let's start the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Circuit of Success. I'm your host, Brett Gilliland, and today I've got Chris Pronger. What's up, my man?
How are you?
I am great. It's good to
see
have
you.
you.
Thank you.
Been excited about this.
It's been a while.
It has been a while. We got our cups, man. We are branded. For those watching at home,
Thank you.
we got the
Right here.
Journey Canadian whiskey right here.
I go red, you go black.
Yeah, you're kind enough to come in here and
Yeah.
give me a shirt. We got some whiskey here. We may open one in a second. And but yeah, man, you are the Hall of Fame hockey player, two-time gold medalist, Stanley Cup champ. Number 44 is retired at the Enterprise Center. You are a whiskey owner. You are a husband. You are a father. And my last thing, I put, you're one hell of a golfer.
Aha. Wow. Not quite as good as you.
But man, that's a hell of
Less
a career.
practice.
That's a hell of a career. Yeah, you've been
practiced
practicing
other
your
things.
slap shot,
That's right.
not your golf shot, right? So, well, it's been awesome getting to know you through old Billy Schmidt.
Yes.
He introduced the two of us, and so it's been fun getting to know you, man. So I was excited to have you on the podcast. But if you can, people that don't know you, I'm sure everybody listening to this probably does know you, but for those that don't, man, there's always a backstory, something that's helped make you the man you are today, and I always love to chat about that. So start
Yeah.
there if you don't mind.
Yeah, no. Grew up in small town Canada, Dryden, Ontario. Thriving metropolis of about 7,000 strong right now.
Nice.
Northwestern Ontario is, so my hometown Dryden is 8 hours straight north of Minneapolis.
Okay.
The coldest place in the continental U.S., not in Alaska, is International Falls, which is 2.5 hours south of me.
Wow.
So it is cold. Not a lot going on in the winter other than hockey and snowmobiling and ice fishing and what you would expect.
Yeah.
But great childhood growing up. Loved living there. It was a lot of fun. You know, obviously pre-internet, so it was not a lot going on as far as surfing the web and doing all that stuff and video games. It was pretty, kind of asteroids and the simple games
That's
that you can think of. But no, we played hockey pretty much every day. My brother and I.
It's
2 years
pretty much
older
that's
than
what
me.
you do up there, right? You're not playing basketball, or are you playing basketball,
there's-
baseball in the
yeah,
summers? a little bit?
No. I was a multi-sport athlete.
Okay.
I would play hockey in the fall, winter, early spring, and then I would play baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would golf all summer and kind of swim in the lake and be a kid.
Nice.
And then I usually did not put my skates on till the last 2 weeks of August, when I would normally go to Thunder Bay and do a hockey school and stay with my grandparents and kind of have some time with them.
Yep.
My parents would get a break from us.
Because you and your brother, right?
Just me and my brother, who's
Yeah.
2 years older.
2 for 2 for your
And
parents,
then,
NHL hockey
yeah.
stars.
And then, it's pretty simple living. It was nice.
It's awesome.
Yeah, not a whole lot to worry about. No cell phones, no nothing.
And how much older is your brother than you?
He's 2 years.
Okay, so 2
Yeah.
years older than you. So he's beating the crap out of you. You guys are kids,
Yeah.
running around the backyard.
I
hockey
believe I
player.
counted one summer. I had 49 bleeding noses. So there was,
Thanks a lot.
as we used to hear a lot of, the Prong boys are going at it again.
Yeah.
But no, it was.
It was your dad, mom. They into hockey? Is it sports?
My dad played, like college hockey a
Yeah.
little bit, and
I saw a picture of you guys. He's not near as tall as you guys.
my dad is
Or at least
5'11".
Okay.
Yeah, his
Well, you're
brother
so-
was
yeah.
6'6".
Well, it's kind of like a picture I have of you and I look
yeah.
like I'm 5'4". I'm like, what's going on here, man? This is terrible. So,
My grandpa was 6'3", so he's the
Okay.
run to the litter.
yeah. And you're 6'6". Your brother's
6'3".
6'3". Okay. Big dudes. Imagine that on skates. Even more intimidating. At what point do you should we open some of this stuff?
Yeah.
First? Let's get this.
I'll
going.
let you
Let's grab it.
pick your poison.
All right. Let's do this right here.
Figure out which one you
I'll
want.
get it right here.
There we
I
go.
can get it open here. This is some good stuff. We'll get a little pour here, and then I'll ship it your way. That good?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
The
I like to smell it.
the good stuff.
Like that.
The good stuff. Anyway, back to the the recorded session here we're doing is at what point did you know you're different, man? I mean, obviously playing hockey, you're at a high level. There's tons of good hockey players come from Canada. Was there that moment where you thought, man, I'm a little different than some of these guys?
I was always growing up on, kids my age, I usually played up a year or 2 years.
Yeah.
and just played at a higher level, if you will. And then you really don't know, coming from a small town back then, there's, again, no internet, no real TV where you can, other than watching NHL on Hockey Night in Canada on Saturday nights, you weren't really immersed in it other than just who you're playing against all the time. So I didn't really have a good understanding or gauge to understand where I was at with respect to competition levels and things of that nature. So moved away from home when I was 15. But prior to that, I had a choice to make at 13. Am I going to play high school hockey, or am I going to go play AAA hockey, which my brother played? And you're driving 10, 12 hours in a bus, and it's a grind, it's a commitment and a grind. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to be with my friends, and I want to play high school hockey. And, there was a little politics involved that I'll get to later, but that was kind of really the first foray into the politics of sports and kind of what can happen. They were upset that I didn't go play on this AAA team.
They being your parents?
No, they being the coaching staff and the managers of that team. Yeah. And they were friends. My brother played there, and they were friends with my parents, a lot of them. And we kind of merged two towns together. Kenora and Dryden merged to create this AAA team because we were not, each city was not, or town was not AAA. Yeah. So we'd go play in this AAA league, and I'm like, I just want to play with my buddies. But again, I'm 13, 14, turning 15, the 2 years I played high school, I'm playing against 20-year-olds. So I'm playing 19, 20-year-olds. So I'm playing against much older competition that have either gone on to play junior, now come back, going to play high school hockey, finish their hockey careers, and go to school and do whatever, right? So you're playing still against some pretty good players. Yep. And on our team were players that had played in that league, and now they're back playing high school hockey. So there was a lot of really good hockey players that I'm playing against at that age. So I'm, I think in grade 9 I was 6'1", grade 10 I was 6'3". So I'm
gonna be as big as those guys.
I'm tall. I'm tall. I'm not big.
Skinny
I'm
bones.
lanky. But I think understanding. I just wanted to have a good time. I wanted to enjoy my childhood. It was a lot of pressure of, you're the best player, you're this, you're that. Yeah. And I thought we had a good enough team to go play in the All-Ontarios, where you'd go down to Toronto and play against the top high schools in the province and get scouted that way, as opposed to playing out west. We're in Ontario, but they're playing in the Western. It was a sordid deal. And so I played high school hockey for these 2 years. We go to the All-Ontarios both years. Get seen by some scouts and get asked to go play for this junior B team down in Stratford. And before I go and do that, I go to this summer camp, and they're doing this under 16 camp to pick the All-Ontario team. And I go to this camp, of which a lot were on this AAA team. Right. And, it was a valuable learning lesson for me on a couple fronts. Number one, the politics. Number two, I wasn't in the best shape. I didn't train overly hard preparing for this camp. So, they said, we're cutting you. And I'm like, I'm looking at my play, and I'm like, how am I getting cut? There's no way. Yeah. But I get cut. And one of the scouts that watched me that spring playing the All-Ontarios had 2 wild cards. Now, he's got 2 wild cards for all of Ontario. And he's like, how does this kid get cut? And he uses one of his 2 wild cards on me to go to the main camp. Wow. And I make the team. Again, gotcha, not buddy. Making the same mistake. Yeah. I'm training now. I'm like, all right, I'm going to train. I learned my lesson. I wasn't prepared. Yep. Not going to happen again. I'm going to train. I'm going to prepare. And, that gentleman is still one of my good friends.
The wild card guy.
Sheldon Ferguson, who then went on to scout for NHL Central Scouting, and then he's worked for a number of different NHL teams along the way. But still always talk about that circumstance and how he just happened to see. If I don't go to the All-Ontario Championships, he doesn't see me, and I don't get this wild. It's just...
Who knows where
so many different, it's just, if you don't get that opportunity, or somebody doesn't go out on a limb for you, you just never know where you're going to be.
What were your parents like during that phase of life, right? I'm picking high school over what they want me to do. Because, in today's world, and obviously you got kids, you know what it's like, but the sports world is nuts now, right? Beyond
to say
nuts. Yeah.
mildly.
Yes, mildly. What were your parents like versus what we see parents today? Like, if you're not on that all-star team, if you're not doing this, you're not, what were they like? Because they went 2 for 2 with 2 NHL players. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, I would say, my dad was always quiet, always sat by himself up in the corner and just watched.
Yeah.
My mom was kind of with the other parents, hooting and hollering, but not, getting involved in coaching and doing all that stuff.
Getting in fights and getting kicked out.
Yeah, doing all that kind of stuff. They weren't.
Car rides, what were those like?
They were pretty quiet. I was pretty intense kid, kind of preparing. The way you saw me play is the way I played all the time.
Okay.
That's the only way I know how to play. That's the only way I know how to play.
Okay.
And so, I was kind of getting myself geeked up for the game.
Yeah.
You're listening to music, whatever. Whatever music there was back then.
Yeah. Not in AirPods.
No. Yeah, no. Listening to Hall & Oates and whatever else my dad's got playing.
Your 8 tracks.
Yeah, exactly. Listen to Billy Joel and 8-track or whatever. Not a whole, we're pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Just, kind of go about your business, do your own thing. And
I love that though, man. You hear people talk about car rides, and that's
just being
number
a kid.
one way, right? That people don't want to play sports. Is sometimes the car rides home, mom and dad, or why the hell did you miss that or do this? And do that?
No, there was never. I don't ever remember, unless I did something not revolving around a play or whatever. If I did something bad,
right. You heard about
which may or may not have happened. No, I never got, well, why didn't you make that pass? Or why didn't you do this? Or why did you make that play? Or, no, I never. It was, it was just all about, as I tell people now, I'm like, make sure your kids are having fun. Yep. They get one chance to be a kid, because guess what? You're going to grow up fast.
Yep.
And they're out the door, and you want them in those formative years of being a kid, being passionate about a sport or multiple sports, so that as they go off into high school, college, etc., into normal life and are contributing citizens to the world, they still want to do stuff like that. They still want to golf. They still want to play hockey, basketball, volleyball, whatever it is. They want to keep maybe not necessarily competing, but playing the sport that they love and are passionate about, or coaching it, paying it forward, and doing these other things that you see a lot of former players do.
Yeah. So we're going to dive into your career here in a little bit, but important for us as a firm, but also I think just any business person listening to this, is whether it's on the ice or in the boardroom, your values are important, right? Your culture is important to you. So was there a set of values or principles for you that maybe even your parents taught you, or that you kind of formed early on in your career that said, this is what I stand for and this is what I'm going to do?
I think I was always one of the bigger kids, taller kids. I mean, not bigger, taller, but I always played a certain way. I always protected my teammates. I always let the other team know, hey, you want to take runs at this guy? Well, you better be careful, because someone else is going to be taking runs at you. And I think hard work and adversity, as my career went along, you sense and learn from the various adversities that you face, the decisions you got to make. I've had plenty of decisions, whether it's going to play junior, whether it's going to play AAA or high school, whether it's going to play major junior or college. I mean, just, asking for trades, doing all these things. Like you're forced to really stick to your guns. And all right, there's some moments where I did not stick to my guns that I'm like, why did I not? Why did I cave? And it just, if you have a core set of principles and you know who you are, and you have a firm belief in that, you need to stick to your guns. And there's a couple times where I wouldn't say I got bullied or talked into, just was told to, maybe you should go do this or that. And I'm like, well, I wish I never would have did that. Yeah. Because it's not, I got asked to tell the owner one time in St. Louis, sorry for making a play that I got suspended on. Like, why do I need to apologize for that? That's who I am. That's how I play. Right. You love how I play. Yeah. So why am I apologizing? That's why I'm here. And I just like, well, why am I apologizing?
But I think that's normal, right? I mean, you think about it even from a work standpoint, sometimes you go down that road.
I kind of haphazardly just said, I'm sorry, but
somebody told you to.
I don't mean it. Great, you told me to do it. Okay, I did it, but I don't mean it.
Yeah.
because I'm not sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry I got caught.
Right.
But
what I read, 8 suspensions. Is that what I heard?
8, yes.
8 suspensions.
Yes.
What was the best one?
There were a few. There were a few good ones. You know what? I learned early in my childhood to be unpredictable. And whether that's you're going to take the puck, whether that's you're going to hit him, whether that's you're going to spear him, whether you're going to slash him, cross-check him, whatever, in the gray areas of the rule book, that keeping people unpredictable, just that indecisiveness in their head is going to give you just enough time to make a play, take the puck. They're going to be a little leery as to what you're going to do. And I could be honest with you, sometimes I didn't know what I was going to do.
It's just a reaction.
It's a reaction. It's a spur of the moment. You're like, boom.
But I think there's people that they like the hit, right? I think of my oldest son, he likes the hit. He's playing soccer, he's not playing, but I was a guy, I didn't like the hit. I didn't want that coming. Probably why I played golf, right?
Yeah.
But do you agree with that? I mean, people like the hit.
Oh, absolutely. There's when you see games start and you're like, you either want to get hit or get hit.
Yeah.
Just to absorb, get into the game, get the feel of it. All right, we're good now.
Yeah.
Just get that first one to get
Now we're
started.
playing.
And now, all right, now the juices are going.
I was doing
get
some
the
research.
butterflies out and get that.
I got some research last night, watching some videos. You said something on a podcast or some TV thing you were on, and it said you predicted maybe 100+ concussions.
If you're looking at what they consider a concussion now, I would probably guess, I can count ones where if you were looking at a baseline concussion of, you either got knocked out or you're seeing stars, a legit, head trauma, you're talking 20 like that. And then, seeing stars, you get your bell rung, all those buzzwords that you used to hear. They're like, don't worry about it. Or I get a stinger, it's your head, but it's your neck, but it's your shoulder. What is it? There were so many different buzzwords to kind of take it away from your head.
Yeah.
That over the span of playing hockey 30 years or so. 18
in the NHL, right?
33, 19 in the NHL. I mean, I would, you bang your head off the glass, you get hit. There was a couple times you remember you banging my head off the glass on a hit. You pass a puck and you're trying to brace yourself, and just you get hit by a big guy and you're hitting the guy and your head hits the glass. You don't lose consciousness, but you can feel it for a second or two. You're like, ooh, okay.
Talk about that moment, man, when you get hit in the chest. The puck hits you, you go down. I watched that video last night. It was just scary as hell just watching the video, and I knew you survived it. But I'm like, in that moment, I can't imagine.
Yeah, I when the whole DeMar Hamlin thing happened, I obviously got
dusted off the shelf.
Dusted off, and being the first one that it actually happened to, I'm kind of relived it a little bit more. And when it happens to you that young in your career, the internet was still not really the internet.
Yeah,
it was 98-ish, I think. Yeah, May 98. There was not a lot of information out there. There was not, dial-up internet and all that kind of stuff. You're not researching all that. WebMD, I don't even know if it was born yet.
Well, you'd have been dead if you went to WebMD.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Same symptom for everything.
Yeah.
But, I started to really research and understand. I was actually closer to death than maybe I thought, as I talked to the trainer and talked about what actually did happen. Because I didn't really want to know. I just wanted to know from the doctor, can it happen again?
Right.
Are there any short-term, long-term effects if I go back to play? And once she cleared me of all that, I was like, no, this is just a random freak thing that
deal.
If all those things line up again, it can happen, but the sequencing has to be perfect.
Yeah.
And the way it hits you has to be perfect, and where it hits you. So I'm like, well, I just didn't want to know. So I started asking the trainer, I'm like, so I get hit with a puck, I blocked a shot, I get hit with a puck, and we're killing a penalty. And I was like, kind of stung, and we're in Detroit, so I'm like, in my head, I'm like, cover the puck up, get a whistle, and then get to the bench. Don't let these people see it down here.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be all over you. So I'm like, all right. So in my head, I do all that. but then I must have blacked out. Like you kind of see I'm kind of
go down.
stumble betuna right after I get up and take a stride, then boom, I'm down. Thank God I had my hands in front of me or I would have broke my face. And I wake up and I'm in the middle of the ice. My stuff's cut open. All my stuff's off. And I look over at our bench. People are crying. And I'm just like, what's going on here?
So you had your wherewithal. I mean, you knew what was...
Once I woke up, I did. So then as this whole DeMar Hamlin thing happened, I started talking to the trainer. I'm like, so... Because I kept getting asked about it. And I don't know. Kind of...
Just happened.
You're supposed to know, but I really didn't. So I started asking him, like, so what exactly did happen? He's like, well, we got out there, you weren't breathing, your lips were kind of panicked, no defibrillator. Back then they had no defibrillators in the building. The ambulance was just a cart. It was basically just to get you to the hospital. There was nothing in it that could help you. And so they were starting to panic. My lips were starting to turn a little bit blue. He was like, yeah, we were just getting ready to give you mouth to mouth when you kind of came to and took a breath. And they were like, whew,
wow.
Thank God. Because they were just getting a little nervous. I think it was like 15, 20 seconds without breathing. And, unlike Hamlin, I think it was like 8 or 9 minutes.
Yeah.
So they were, and then since then, so then I went to the hospital, did all that. And since then, right after that incident, they had defibrillators in all the buildings. Mm-hmm. They've, retrofitted or fixed the ambulance situation. And 3 years after that, Yuri Fisher with the Detroit Red Wings had a heart attack on the bench or right in front of the bench. And they also had the doctors way up in the top.
Oh, yeah.
And after that incident, they had the doctors right behind the bench. And fortunate enough for Yuri Fisher, the doctor was right behind the bench, came off the bench, came out, started giving him mouth to mouth, gave him the defibrillator and
saved his
life. But so all that happens. I'm in the hospital. I'm wearing a heart monitor for 24 hours, tracking it, doing all that. And again, asked the doctor if, is there any long-term, short-term side effects if I play? And she's like, no.
So I've thought about DeMar Hamlin.
So I wanted to rip the Band-Aid off fast.
Right.
Basically.
And get right back. So how long did you sit out?
A day. I
so you were like the next day, you were in the next game.
So we played, I don't know, let's just say that was a Tuesday.
Yeah.
I played on Thursday.
Oh, wow.
So I stayed in the hospital Tuesday night in Detroit, flew back on Wednesday, did all these tests, wore the heart monitor, did all that, got up in the morning, went back to the doctor, got checked out again. She looked at the monitor, the heart monitor, that is, did a battery of tests again, sat down with her, talked to her. Still not knowing whether I was going to play, but I prepared the night before like I was going to play. Just, you never know.
Yeah.
And then went down to the rink at like 4:30. I think we had maybe a 7:30 game. Went down to the rink at 4:30 and was like, I got cleared to play, so I'll take warm up, see how I feel. And once you put your equipment on,
it's go time.
For me, I'm not taking that shit off.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
Right.
Like once it's on,
you get to cut it off me again.
Well, I'm not sitting out.
Yeah.
If I can go out there and do warm up and do it, well, then I might as well play.
Right.
And I hate sitting upstairs. It sucks.
Yeah.
So.
So what was it? So you just went back in, and was there nerves at all?
Oh yeah, there was nerves. You again to the point. You want to get hit or you want to hit somebody right away, and just the butterflies and the energy of coming out to the ring. You take warm up, and not everybody's in the building.
Yeah.
Playoff game, playing Detroit, so it's just crazy.
Yeah.
And then I come out for intros and come out, to the building electric and going bananas, and then I come out. I was like one of the last couple guys out always, and fans erupted and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Brings it home. Then
All
like, all right,
pretty
let's
cool.
go. Let's go.
And then you get the butterflies. Like, all right, let's get the Band-Aid ripped off and hit somebody. Somebody hit me. Let's get this out of the way so we can get past this.
So in sports, I think for fans, I'm curious always to talk to players on if it's as big a deal for you guys. So there's the rivalries, right? There's games that mean more than most. Obviously, playoffs always do. But did you treat those differently, or did your mind go differently when you were playing a certain rivalry for the different teams? Like, Cubs Cards in baseball, right? Like there's that thing. Did that matter to you?
Oh, yeah, for sure. The teams in your division.
Yeah.
And back then, you got to remember, you played those guys 8 times. The schedule has since changed, and you don't play against those teams as much. You know, you're playing 4 home games, 4 road games, and then you're playing the team typically in the playoffs, and you know, you're playing them possibly 7 times. And you're playing it. You know, the next rival you're playing it 7 times. It just, you know, the hatred between the teams intensifies with each playoff round that you play. And we played Detroit 4 years in a row. This was 90, 95, 96, 97. This is like 98. This is the 4th year in a row we're playing them.
Yeah.
You know, and you're just like, okay,
here we go again.
Here we go again. And so, you know, just that rivalry, the feuds between the players, and you know, all the different things that happen over years. We hadn't beaten them; they'd beat us every year. You know, so it was getting intense.
Yeah,
when you get a lot of
the hits, you get a little harder.
Well, and you know, and you're sick of losing.
Yeah,
getting pissed off. All right, well, I'm going to get my pound of flesh.
Yeah. Did you ever have one of those guys that you couldn't stand playing against, but then they became a teammate? Did that ever happen?
You're always going to run into. I'm sure I was that guy for a lot of people too. You know, you play against players, and you recognize they're good.
Yep.
You're like, okay, you're not going to be good against me.
Yep.
And you just try to get in their kitchen, and you try to. You know, it's when you're a defenseman, it's different, because if you're a forward and you beat me once, you might score once. There it is. You've done your job.
Yeah.
You did your one thing.
Yeah.
You know, so I've got to be 100% all the time.
Yep.
And so I would, you know, rivalry games, playoffs, I would treat rivalry games like playoffs, where you're kind of ramping it up. You're, you know, good chance you're going to meet them in the playoffs. You're like,
well, you probably feel
we're going to let you know what you're in for. And the crowd's jacked up,
yeah.
and everybody, okay, it's Blackhawks, Blues, you know, it's just, you know, a little different.
Yeah.
A little different than a normal game. And as you know, and then when you start, you know, and then it was the Sharks, because we played them 2 or 3 years in a row in the playoffs. So just as you play somebody in the playoffs, those rivalries get heated. And
talk about the Olympics versus the Stanley Cups, Stanley Cup playoff or Stanley Cup finals. What was the big difference there for you?
Well, both are awesome. Both, you know, to get to a Stanley Cup final takes a lot of grit and determination, luck, chemistry, teamwork. You know, it's 9 to 10 months of being in the same fight with the same guys over and over and over. The ups, the downs, the adversity. You know, you get into an Olympic situation, it's 2, maybe 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
You're thrown together. You know, and for Canada, it's a lot different than a lot of these other countries. We don't have a national program where guys go back and skate in the summers and go and, you know, play in the U.S. development program and have played together. We're always playing against each other in junior, you know, in different junior programs. You're always playing against each other. You're never playing together. And so those teams have a little bit better chemistry typically coming out of the gate, because they've all played with each other at some point.
Yeah.
And they're familiar with one. We all hate each other. We all want to beat each other up.
But now for 2.5 weeks, we got to be teammates.
So now for 2.5 weeks, you got to kind of let your bygones be bygones and come together as a group. And you know, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
And sometimes just the chemistry's not there. Like for us in 2006 in Italy, we just did not have good chemistry. It was kind of the changing of the guard. We had 98 and 2002 were a lot of the same players.
02 and 10, right?
And then in 2006, they, you know, some guys were retiring, and we had a different group of players. It just was it was, I don't know. I didn't think they either they didn't coach or they didn't pick the right makeup of the team. It just didn't. I didn't feel like our chemistry was that good.
But you played for
4. So 98 was the first year we could play in Nagano. And Gretzky was on the team, and I learned a lot from that year because we played not to lose.
Okay.
Like we were just the way we played. It just wasn't. We weren't leaving it all out there. We weren't putting our foot on the gas. It was like, all right, what can we do? Okay, let's massage it and let's go win.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like we were getting better. We were just winning. We were finding a way to win versus
pure
getting
talent.
better. Yeah, just on talent and, you know, our skill.
Yeah.
And not our teamwork and not things like that get better as you get more comfortable with one another. And, we lost in a shootout to the Czech team in the semifinals. And it was like, it was for us at that time, it was like gold or bust. And we lost that game, and it was like, it was over. And we still had a bronze medal game. We didn't even show up. Like, it was just brutal.
Right.
And we lost to Finland in that game, and it was like,
yeah, what do we care at this point?
Well, but as you think back and you look at it, you're like, I wish we would have been nice to say, I got 2 golds and a bronze.
Yeah.
But it was just the mentality and the mindset was gold medal. The only thing we got to win is a gold. Just the pressure of the expectations, and then just of how we managed and handled things was not great. And then in 2002, we got off to a crappy start. We got smoked in our first game by Sweden. I think it was like 6-2 or something. I mean, they dominated us. But from that game, we got better and better. We made a few adjustments, change the goalie, move some D around, change lines a little bit. You're looking for the right combinations. You're looking for the right chemistry. And we got better. Each game you could see us trending and getting better and better and better. And from that you could see, okay, this is what we did wrong in 98. We're not doing that. And we were winning, not great. We weren't playing great teams, because you're still like playing Germany and playing some of these teams at the time that weren't very good. And you're working your way up. And as that chemistry, we got through, then we got through the semifinals, and then we played U.S. in the finals, and we were running all cylinders and confident, and they had no chance.
No.
I think we beat them 5-2.
So when you think about that, so you talked about chemistry and culture and all that, it makes me think about, so when you played for the Blues, and we'll go to the Stanley Cup in a minute, but you played for the Blues, you had the big C, right? The captain on the jersey. What did that mean to you? What did that mean for you in the locker room as a leader? Because again, in this podcast, we get tons of business people to listen, right? And so tying that, if you can, look at it from that lens on what that means to the man or woman running a company right now, the big C on their suit coat or whatever, what's that mean to them?
Yeah, it's I think in sports, it's a little bit different than business, but it's the same.
Yeah, right.
And everybody looks at the captain and like, all right, he's the guy in the locker room, he's the glue, he's the guy holding everybody accountable. It's a little bit more than that. You need a group. You need a core group of leaders. It can't always be the captain getting in people's faces, holding people accountable, pulling people aside. There's not enough time in a day to be doing that. And so you need a core group of guys to really kind of buy into what the coach is selling, to get the group to buy into what they're selling, and get them to play that way, and come together as a group. Because the one difference from business to sports is every year is different.
Yeah, right.
You're aging, you're maturing, you're developing faster. You're either aging out, you're coming up. Players have career years, players have down years.
Yeah.
I mean, there's and it happens in business too, but more so in sports, where in order to be successful and win a championship, everything's got to go great.
Yeah.
You got to have luck. You got to be healthy. You got to have guys having career years. You got, in hockey, you got to have a hot goalie. I mean, you can have all those things, but if you don't have a hot goalie, you're done.
That's like 19 for the Blues, right?
Yeah, you're not winning. So there's so many different things that play into it. But then, more for me was, all right, I hold myself to this standard. I'm not holding you to that standard. I'm holding myself to this standard, but you better be at this standard.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ask you to do anything I wouldn't do. I'm the first one in the gym. I'm the first one on the ice. I'm working on my craft. I'm in the training room making sure I'm healthy so I can go play every single game I can. And I'm putting the time and effort in to be the best I can be each and every day and prepare properly so that we can survive a 9-month grind and a 2-month playoff grind to win a championship.
A physical grind at that.
Yeah, physical and mental.
Yeah.
Just the ups and downs, it's a roller coaster. And so to be sharp and to understand, as my career evolved, I got better and better at that and understanding my body, understanding what I needed to do, how I needed to train throughout the course of the season to make sure I wasn't having as big a drop-off. I'm playing 30 minutes a night, always against the top line, always match up against best player. I know I got to play physical against the big guys in the other team, and I got to, I'm managing a bunch of different roles and trying to map out, and I also need to provide offense. I also need to, a lot of times, help run the power play. You're juggling a lot of hats, and then you're looking at it going, well, as I look back at my career and I look how the game's played now, I'm like, well, people are like, oh, you only got 600 points. And I'm like, well, 598 if somebody looks. It's almost 600.
For those fact checkers.
Pardon me. 698.
698, almost 700.
Pardon me. But could I have gotten more points? Sure.
Right.
But at what cost? It would detract from somewhere else.
Yeah.
I was more about winning. If you look back through history, whether it's me looking at playing when I played junior hockey and you work all the way through to my end of my career, when you look at the players who are wanted the most, who typically get paid at some point, are winners.
Mm-hmm.
Who gets plucked from all these? If you look at football, baseball, basketball, hockey, who gets plucked from these championship teams? The meat guys, the role players that, because they're successful, they know how to win. Are they overpaid to do what they're supposed to do? Probably. But there's teams that don't have that intangible that they're trying to pay for. So, and then if you're able to do that as a all-star top, if you're top 2 or however, top 6, top 4D, whatever, you're going to get paid too.
Yep.
You might not get paid there, but you're going to get paid somewhere.
Get on the next one.
Because you're a winner.
Yeah. Yep.
You're a champion. So it's...
Well, that's what
it's about trying to sell
owners,
that.
Right?
It's about trying to sell that.
Yeah.
It's about saying, listen, short-term pain for long-term gain. You may not be doing what you necessarily want to do within our system, when you pick up a guy from on trade or signing or whatever. This is our culture. You're selling a culture. This is it. This is how we operate. This is our locker room.
Yep.
Everybody in here, this is how we do it.
How much of that is talked about in the locker room? Like, are you if A, B, and C is the principles that you guys are fighting for this year? Is that every game, every day?
You have, when you have good coaches, they meet with the leadership to every year you're tweaking it. Every year you're learning, you're adapting.
Yep. You're
looking at your roster. How can we change, modify, or adapt our message to the group?
Yeah.
And it's the players, it's the leadership group, as I mentioned, that are selling it. It's not the coach.
Yeah, right. They're pulling, like, your second year.
In there. He's in there, but he's not in there every single day. Yeah. If he's in there selling that every day,
it's a problem.
You're tuned out right away. The moment he opens his mouth again to do something else, you've lost the room. Everybody's tuned out. So you got to have a couple different guys in a couple different groups. Like, I'll use Anaheim, the year we won the Cup. We had different sections of the room. I sat over, as you walked in our locker room, I sat on the right side. I couldn't really see the left side because it was tucked over here. So we had a guy over there in that side dealing with that group. And over here on this group to the right, we had a couple of young guys and a couple D-men, a couple of young guys were trying to move along, trying to teach how to be pros. And they're in my group over here. And then over here across the way, these are the quieter guys, but they know how to win. They're on point. They're over there. You got another group over here that's far end. So you kind of have these quadrants, you hear about the quads and all these different things. So we spent most of our time, because we're all sitting there getting dressed, talking. We're in our little bubble over there. You're talking to the whole group in the locker room, but you're talking to that little main core right there, because
sweet mates, right?
Yeah, because they're right there. So you got these young guys, and you're talking to them about how to be pros, and you need to, the coach in Anaheim did a great job of trying to teach them how to be pros from a coach's perspective, and then it's incumbent upon the leadership group and the players to drag them along. Like, you got to get in the gym. Let's go. Get in here. You got to prepare.
That's what I was going to ask. What define?
If you go out and have a good time, you better show up to work the next day.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to the back of the line every time and You're not doing drills because you're hungover.
Yeah.
If you're doing that, then just don't come out.
Right.
We're trying to get better. We're working on stuff out here.
Did you notice, I'm assuming this answer is yes, but did you notice a difference between the guys like you and the Gretzky? I mean, you came to St. Louis, right? You had McGinnis, Hull, Gretzky, you on the team. I mean, that's a hell of a team, right? So did you find those guys were different on everything from preparation, physically, emotionally, going out at night, not going out at night? Was that different than a lot of people?
Well, I think, yeah, you learn. Like I got here, I was 20, turning 21. Al was, I think, 31. So I'm catching him. He's got kids. He's more mature. He's in the prime of his career. So I'm coming in at the start of my career, and I'm like kind of just soaking it all in, like watching how he prepares, how he practices, how he handles the media, how, what is he doing in the off season, and as my career started to take shape, I then met with his trainer and started working with him. And I met him at Al's house, and I walked in the front door, and Charles was right over here to the left. I walked in. He's like, "Hey, walk toward me." I took 5 steps. He's like, "All right, now turn around and walk back." Okay. He's like, "You got a bad left knee?" I go, "Yeah." He's like, "You got a sore rotator cuff on your right shoulder?" I go, "Yeah." It's like, just by watching me walk 5 steps, he could tell just the way my body was moving and the weight distribution and the hitch in my step, whatever. I mean, you're not paying attention to that. I'm like,
right.
I'm 22 years old going, whatever.
What are you talking about?
Remade, how I ate, nutrition wise, and that kind of was the start of taking that next step of, all right, how good do you want to be? How much are you willing to sacrifice? Because at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's sacrificing something to be great at something. Because there's a give and a take for everything.
Well, I think, too, for me, like I had a business coach early on in my career, right, that I spent lots of money on that maybe I didn't want to do or maybe couldn't afford back then. But even that, for you guys, right, that guy probably wasn't free. I'm assuming that's off.
No, back then he was expensive.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, invest in yourself, right? Again, business leaders invest in a coach, invest in a mentor, invest in something, right, to give back. You agree with that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. No, you have to. How good do you want to be?
Yeah.
We don't know everything out of the gate. You can't read a book. One size does not fit all.
Yep.
We all soak in information differently. And we all have strengths and weaknesses. And you're not going to know them. You need somebody to help point them out and say, this is a blind spot you're not seeing. You need to work on this. And, okay, you're really good at this, but you only do this.
Yeah.
You need to do this too. Add this to your repertoire.
Yeah.
And now do this. And once you hone that, do this. And so I think you have to really kind of go in eyes wide open and have an understanding how much you want to get better, how much, whether you're running a business, whether you're playing a sport, whatever it is. It's your commitment to excellence and your commitment to getting better.
Yep.
Showing up every day to improve.
Well, I think that's the key right there. Showing up on days even when you don't want to, or you're a little sore maybe, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's the quote. I see Michael Phelps up there.
Yeah.
5 years straight. Trained every single day.
Yep.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day. And by the way, if you've ever swam like this guy swam, not easy.
No.
There's lots of days, I'm sure he was like, man, my shoulders are sore, my back sore.
Or just mentally didn't want to do it. It was cold and rainy.
Living in Baltimore.
He had a Post-it note. I read his book. I'm fascinated by what he did. And he had a Post-it note, though, and it had by the milliseconds what he was going to do each race.
Yeah.
And if you look, it'll show like what he had written down and what he did the race. For 5 years, man, you're talking milliseconds.
Working, honing, working on that turn.
Yeah.
Okay, turn. Can I save a millisecond?
Yeah.
Can I save? How can I transition fast? Like it's
like
impressive.
that guy. I don't remember who it was, but the guy that was dancing, doing all the stuff in front of him, Michael Phelps didn't even budge, man. And then he went out there and kicked the guy's ass. Or then they're swimming. They show the camera under the water, and the guy was looking over at him,
and he's got
water, and he's just like. champions look at the wall, right?
Yeah.
The second place guy looks
Don't
at the champion.
focus on the competition. Focus on
that's
you.
Right. That's right. So what was it like for you then as you progress in your career, you started to have a family, right? So how old were the kiddos? They were born, like probably your oldest was born when you were in the 2000s?
I was 20, let's see here. Jack's 02, so I was 28.
Yeah, so 02, so you still had a good 10, 11 years left in your career. So how did you balance the family side and the sports side when you're obviously out on the road and traveling?
It's hard, it's hard. You got a finite amount of time. You never know when your career is going to be over, and you have to invest in your career. You got to be all in on your craft and getting better, and as your body evolves, as you get more injuries, as the punishment and toll of playing a certain way takes its form on you, you have to kind of reshape and remold yourself into a way that works. Yep. You're changing things and altering how you train and what you eat and all those different things. And, and in the midst of that, I got traded out of here in 05. We have the lockout in 04. I have major wrist surgery, major knee surgery in 02, 03. So I missed that whole year. Then I came back and I played 03, 04. And then we had the lockout in 04, 05. And then I got traded and played in Edmonton in 05, 06. Then Anaheim, 07, 06, 07. Yeah. And then
honey, let's
09,
go.
10, I'm in Philly. So you're, four cities in 5 years.
Yeah. Oh, around the whole country.
Yeah, going to 4 different locations.
Yeah.
So it's...
Maybe we should have her on the podcast just to talk about how to deal with that.
How are we doing this? So it was... I bounced around. I never really added it up like that. But 5 years I was in 4 different teams.
Yeah.
Bang, bang, bang.
It's crazy.
So...
What role do you think athletes play? I mean, because you're I think we as humans, whether it's right or wrong, probably wrong, we put you guys on this pedestal, right? Like you're on the limelight, we see you, we play, we root for you. But what role do you think you guys play in the community? Because I know the work that you do as a community guy. I mean, your guys' golf tournament, you and Dan Deerdorf played in that this year, amazing, huge impact on our local charities. But as an athlete, and then for today's athletes, what role do they play in the communities that we all live in?
Yeah, I'll sum it up. I've always been invested in the communities I played in. I think it's a great way to give back. It's a great way to be involved in the community and meet people and meet those that are out supporting you. You can support the local community and the charities that are nearest and dearest. Brian Burke, my initial GM in Hartford, and then was my GM in Anaheim. I mean, he summed it up best. He's like, and from you talk about leadership and you talk about, setting up that vertical owner, manager, coach, player, and he was like, this is what we do here. This is the culture we are setting. We're creating a winning tradition.
Yep.
And we're also creating a tradition of we're going to be invested in the community. We're going to give back. We're going to do this. We're going to do something every month for the, greater Orange County community.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing X, Y, Z. If you have a problem with your ice time, do not talk to me. Talk to your coach. You want to be traded? Come talk to me. You got a problem off the ice? Come talk to me. But you have anything to do with hockey? Your head coach is right over there. Go see him. Don't come to me. I'm not doing that.
Not how it works.
And there's a chain of command, and there's a XYZ. This is everybody's roles and responsibilities. I have mine. Coach has his, and you as a player have yours.
So talk to us about some of the best moments that you think back in your career, just the highlights. What are some of those best hockey moments for you that you think fans listening would love to hear?
Yeah, and I think one of the ones that I never really took a lot of joy in and a lot of pleasure in, that I wish I wouldn't have been so... Every year when you don't win, you're just pissed off. You're just like, it sucks to lose. I hated losing more than I like to win.
Yeah.
And it just drove me bananas. And I took a lot of that stuff early on in my career, probably the first 10 years of my career, till I had kids. I just took everything from the rink home. And I couldn't separate. I would I'd be thinking about a play I made 4 days ago, sleeping or whatever, just pissed me off. And it took me a while to learn how to like just let go of the game and just you got to just turn the page and get going. And when I won the Hart Norris Trophy in 2000, that was a pretty big moment. And I really didn't enjoy it the way I should have. I was still thinking, we had won the President's Trophy that year. We were thinking Stanley Cup. We had a team, and you lose in the first round. And you're like, what? I was just so pissed off. Still, a month and a half later at the awards banquet, I just, it was great.
Thanks.
It was great, but you're just like, And I didn't really get to.
That's what made you good, though, too, right?
Well, it's what drives you. But there's moments like that
Sure.
where, winning the Stanley Cup was great. My family was there. It was awesome. My kids were old enough to remember it too. They weren't babies sitting in the cup. Again, Olympic. Them being there at the Olympics in 2010. They were a little bit older, so they got to enjoy it. 2002, my wife was pregnant with Jack, so it was, just a lot of different storylines. But those two were that they could be at in 07 and 10 were pretty special, and just soaking it up, knowing that I spent 13 years to win a championship in the NHL. And you're like, you just never know.
Most people don't make it 13.
No, and they don't. You think it's easy. It's not easy. Like you see, this guy won 4 cups, or this guy won. I go, they're on great teams, and they've got great players, and on and on and on. They hit the, everybody's hitting the right, peaking at the right time. And then there's other teams who are like, damn, we had good teams, and you didn't even get a sniff. Like there were teams here in St. Louis where like, we had good teams.
Yeah.
And the teams that won were like, damn, we could have beat them.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's the matchups, where Dallas could beat Detroit. Detroit could beat us, but we could beat Dallas. And just all the
you catch them.
And just who you playing and how you match up, and it
Any of the big hits that you go through your highlight reel of your career,
lots.
right? Oh, I know there's lots. I know how you played.
There's lots of those. I don't know if there's.
I've seen you swing a golf club. I'm like, damn, hurts my back.
I don't know if there's one per se, but there's lots that you're lining a guy up and you're like,
I see it coming.
You can just. And then when you hit them and you don't feel it, you're like, that was so pure. It's kind of like hitting a golf ball.
Exactly.
You hit a golf ball and
so
it's just
good.
pure. You're like, ooh, that was good.
That was good. I want more of that. I didn't think of it that way. That's probably true. That's probably true.
Because if you don't hit it pure and it hurts you, you're like, ooh, that hurts.
It's like hitting one thin on a nice cold day.
Yeah, no good.
That's
no good.
Let's turn the page from hockey to whiskey.
Whoa!
I'm staring at this whiskey here. For those not watching, they're listening. The Journey J.R.N.Y. It's phenomenal. First time we hung out, we had some Journey.
We did.
It was some good stuff. So talk about this, man. This is you and your brother.
Yeah.
And talk about the Journey.
Yeah. I had been looking. My brother and I have been talking for like 4 or 5 years, trying to figure out something we could do together, and just nothing really resonated. And about 2.5 years ago now, one of my brother's friends said, hey, I want to introduce you to this guy. He runs Niagara Falls Craft Distillers. They're looking for a partner in a whiskey. Long-time whiskey drinker. As my brother likes to say, we've put in a lot of research and development.
A lot of R&D.
30 plus years of R&D. Don't do the math.
Right.
And so, I was a long-time Crown drinker. It's Canadian whiskey. So he brought this to us, and we were thinking about it. We're like, how's this going to work? I knew a lot of people in the spirits business. Mm-hmm. Different way.
Yeah.
But, never made one and kind of taken on a project of this magnitude. And, as we kind of walked through it and looked at it from a business standpoint, and then, you want to be able to enjoy and have fun with it. And what's not fun about whiskey?
I don't know.
Canadian whiskey at that.
I can't think of any.
New school Canadian whiskey at that. So, we set out. We're like, okay, if we're going to do this, and you know me well enough now, if I'm going to do something, I'm all in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, if we're doing this, I want control of the liquid, the branding. So we own the IP for all this stuff, and Niagara Falls does a great job making it for us.
I take it his number was 44 as well.
His number was 54.
Oh, so you got
but 44 is the percent alcohol.
Ah.
A little homage to me, but
I like that.
it's
well, maybe if he gets
it's a little bit stronger whiskey than Crown or any other Canadian whiskey on the market, but we had a base of what we liked, and then we're like, all right, is there any way we had a lot of things we didn't like about it. We're like, okay, can we fix? We want to fix the burn. We think more people will drink it if there's no burn.
Mm-hmm.
We want to add a little bit of spice, a little sweetness, little tweaks here and there. There's no preservatives, no additives. It's very pure. And so we did it over FaceTime. They'd send us a sample. My brother and I would get on FaceTime. We'd take it, to drink. What do you like? What do you not like? Taking notes. Send them back the notes and be like, all right, can you change this?
More that.
And not knowing the lingo of, brewmaster lingo, we're like, can you do this? And like, oh, well, that's that. I'm like, well, okay, great. But can't just do that.
I don't care how you do it, just do it.
However you do that. And so the second time around, like, okay, it's a little bit better, but can you, there's still some burn. Can you get rid of that? Can you do this? And then on a third try, we both took a sip and we're like,
that's it.
Boom. That's it. That is exactly what we're trying to do.
Love it.
And that is what you're tasting right now. And so from that, then, maybe a little naive to the politics and the legal and the government and all the hoops you got to jump through. And, we kind of worked through all that. And it was like 22 months, I think, to get to market. And now we've been 6 months in the market and in Missouri, launched in St. Louis and Missouri, Southern Illinois. And now
got
we're
some right over there.
Yes. And then now we're in New York, Ontario. We'll be in Alberta next month. We'll be in Texas next month.
Man.
And then a little further down the line, we'll be in Southern California. But those are the 5 core markets that we want to really hit.
And talk about the name. JRNY, the Journey.
On the back of the bottle is our tagline. And it says, celebrate the victories, be proud of your scars, enjoy the journey.
I love that.
And really, when you think about it, it really is all about the journey. It's about the journey of life. It's about the journey you're on. You have a great day. You sell a company. You win a championship. What's the first thing you want to do? You want to have a glass of whiskey, and you want to tell your friend. You want to tell your mom and dad. You want to tell your spouse. You want to hang with your buddies and just revel in the joy of winning. You have a bad day. Get kicked in the face. You lose. What do you want to do? You want to have a glass of whiskey. You want to tell your buddies. You want to tell your spouse. You want to tell your mom and dad. You want to tell somebody. And you want to sit and talk about it and about the journey that you've been on. And so as we started talking about, my brother wrote a book called The Journeyman. Mm-hmm. He played in 16 teams in 11 years. He bounced around a lot. And so he coined himself The Journeyman, and we shortened it to The Journey because it's just about the journey and about, our own unique journeys that we're on and the stories you tell, the people you meet. And so that's kind of where we got the name from. And kind of, and since we, came up with this naming, I don't know, it was like 2 years ago. Every time I talk to somebody, not necessarily about the whiskey, just in general, in a conversation, how many times I hear the word journey.
Yeah.
All the time.
All the time.
Always. So you're just always going to be top of mind because it's about the journey. Oh, the journey you're on. How far is your journey? Whatever.
Well, it's funny. I was on my business coach yesterday on a call, and he talked about the journey. And he said sometimes people compare their journey to other people's journey. Like, I want to be where that guy's at or that gal's at, and all this stuff. But yet your journey is your journey.
Correct.
And live your journey to the best of its ability, right?
Yep.
Dominate that journey.
Yep.
Don't worry about what everybody else is doing.
Yep.
So last couple questions here. Future Great in Your Past. You see the sticker here. You saw the journal in the hat
Yes.
earlier. Is our firm's mission is to help people achieve a future greater than their past. So when you hear that, future great in your past, what comes to mind for Chris Pronger?
I would say, for me, paying it forward and raising kids to be successful and thriving in whatever they want to do, and providing them with the knowledge and support to live a better life than I had. And it's not spoon feeding them, it's teaching them what the real world is like. It's showing them life's not easy. It's allowing them to fail. It's allowing them to realize that they're going to need to sacrifice something to be good at something, etc. But building your life, improving, much like I did in my sports career, life after, it's getting better every single day, whatever that is. Building a company, creating a family, creating a legacy, whatever that is, whatever speaks to what someone is trying to do. Certainly hits home to me. It's, when you look at legacy or family name or things like that, when somebody hears your name, what do they think of? And that, to me, that's more important than, I always get asked, oh, what did you want to be remembered for as a player? I'm like, that's just a small part of my life. Like, I'm not worried about that. I left every ounce of my being on that ice, and I'm done. And now it's about here and now, and living for my life now, my kids, my family, etc., and business, and trying to figure out how to make a bigger mark on society outside of what I used to do. And I think a lot of athletes and even business people get caught up in, there's so-and-so the CEO, there's so-and-so the hockey player, there's so-and-so the football player. And all my career, I was like, stop. That's just a small part. Stop. I'm not just a hockey player.
Yeah.
Like, stop. I am XYZ. I have other aspirations that I want to do. Yeah. Am I focused on that right now? Yes. Because that's what I do now. But I'm not going to do it my whole life.
Right. And
so you try to stomp out the stereotypes that people always want to throw at you. And, if you walk around as Joe Blow, the CEO of AB, or Joe Blow, the CEO of Emerson, and that's your whole being, you're in for a rough ride when you're done, brother.
yeah, exactly right. Was it hard I said last question, I lied. Was it hard for you to replace the adrenaline? Because I can't imagine.
It's irreplaceable.
I shouldn't, that's a better way to say it.
No, but that's where most athletes struggle, is they look for that high.
Yeah.
When you get hooked on booze or drugs or whatever,
you're never going to replace it.
You cannot. You cannot replace it. There's no rush, unlike being an athlete and coming into a stadium or an arena or what have you. Fans going ballistic at a playoff game, and 20,000, 60,000, 80,000 people going crazy, screaming and yelling your name, whether they hate you or love you.
You hear it all.
Yeah, you hear it all. And you don't ever, it's like that Peyton Manning commercial where he's like screaming at the accountant and doing all that stuff. It's just, there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
You're never going to find that again. You can try, and people buy businesses and do all this different stuff, and it's just, that adrenaline part, that rush.
Can't find it.
No.
Yeah. Chris Pronger, thanks for being with us, man, on the Circuit of Success. I'm very humbled that a guy like you, with your pedigree, your background, and the man you are, it's amazing. You come over here and spend some time with us and our listeners, and I'm very thankful for that, my man.
You.
So thank you. Good having you.
Enjoy the journey.
Thanks, brother.
First, you want me to do up top?
Yeah, you do your best to reach it.